I'm Jeff O'Hare, editor-in-chief of Dealoscope magazine, here at the CEA Line Shows in New York City. And my guest is Shawn DuBravac, and he is economist and director of research at CEA. And we just got out of the mid-year update that Shawn and his colleague Steve Koenig gave, and I just wanted to follow up with a couple questions. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Now, going into the second half of the year, what do you think is probably the single most important trend that retailers should be aware of for the next 6 months out?
So one of the things we're certainly hearing from retailers is that sales have been decent so far. What's been the real sticking point is getting traffic into the doors. We think as we move into the back half, consumers are going to start to feel a little bit more comfortable. We think the volume will be there. It's finding the profitable opportunities within the market, which we think will be the real challenge for retailers. That and the fact that you've got a very diverse retail market now. You take a look at netbooks, which is a new category. You've already seen the carriers move in to that market as retailers. They're subsidizing the price in exchange for a data service.
Or giving it away.
Or, yeah, at a very low price. And so that creates interesting dynamics if you're a retailer trying to sell one of the hottest categories of the year.
What's your suggestion to retailers? They're up against, like you said, this kind of dynamic, ever-evolving channel. What do they do to compete against it to get the highest amount of profit they can?
You know, I think there's a lot of things that they can do. Certainly getting individuals and consumers into the store, letting them see the value. Consumers are still looking for information. There's a lot of technology offerings out there. So if you can really educate the consumer and provide them real value, then I think you'll find some stickiness with the consumer as you move into that back half of the year.
That's a great point. Heavy marketing, lots of demos, that type of thing on the new products. That's what the retailers have to keep in mind.
Definitely. Consumers want to see how it works, and they want an educated salesperson.
Something you can't do on the internet, right? Or it's hard to do on the internet. So going in the summer, how do you think sales are compared to last year? I know they're down, but what's kind of your prediction going in the summer months?
Right, so it's tough if we're looking at a year-over-year basis, because last year at this time, things were still holding up pretty well.
Yeah, you bet they were.
Uncle Sam was sending the average household $1,200 to $1,500 a month in stimulus checks. Consumers were spending those checks on gasoline mostly, but they were also spending a fair chunk on technology. So on a year-over-year basis, things are tough. It's as we moved into the fall of 2008 when things really slowed down significantly. So we believe as we move into the fall of 2009, the economy generally will be picking up. Consumers will start to feel a little bit better. We're showing in our CEA CNET Consumer Sentiment Index that consumers are increasingly more willing to spend, not just spend on technology, but also spend more on technology than they have over the last 18 months. So consumers are feeling more optimistic about the overall economy. They're feeling more optimistic about their own financial shape, and that is making them more willing to go out to the stores and look to see what is on the shelf these days.
And I guess kind of in the same vein, I'm sure all the retailers want to know, it's still a little far out, but not that much. How about the holiday sales for 09 holiday sales?
You know, I think the holiday sales is something we've been asked about since January and February. Everybody wants to know what 09 holiday is going to look like. And getting that visibility out that far is still very difficult. We believe that manufacturers and retailers are cautiously optimistic. We know that there is not a lot of excess inventory out there across the industry, so there's really not overhang in any single category. Past holiday seasons, profitability has really been driven by what inventory looked like. If we had excess inventory that retailers needed to burn through, then that put downward pressure on ASP, which impacted overall profitability. We're not seeing that. We think if consumers start to feel a little bit better, they might be willing to move to, for example, higher or bigger screen size flat panel, which should help retailers improve profitability. They might move to the higher margin items.
What do you think? Do you think LED is going to be a bright spot this holiday season?
I think LED is certainly positioned to be a bright spot. I think consumers are, as they always have been, willing to look at the new technologies. So it's as the economy improves, it'll be less about a replacement story and more about a what do I want to add to the mix story.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime, Jeff.